Welcome back. Time for another mini-sode of the Depraved and Debaucherous. We're going to talk about toxic relationships, which I know I've talked to enough women that have told me about the kind of relationships that they've gone through and what they've suffered from that have been just real shitty. And, guys probably don't realize that some of the girls that they get out with, no matter the age in some cases, because if you're trying to meet a girl, as young as 19, 20, 21, 22, they might have gone through relationships that were very controlling, narcissistic. That can happen. And one of the things is because, especially at a young age, some of the girls are willing to go ahead and give these guys another chance. Now, part of it is because there is part of that narrative that's been out there in the manosphere, they call it, where there are women that are looking for guys that have a certain standard, right? The 666 rule you might have heard of, 6 foot tall, 6-figure income, and a six-pack, right? You might have heard of the... And so there are women, obviously, when they're young and they're beautiful, they're going to try to attract the most highest-end man they can. And there's a lot of cases of that, especially when you go to the club. Especially in South Florida, that's especially the matter. Now, I already had somebody else talk to me about the fact that, well, that's not in every place. Okay, but you know what? I'm going to talk about Florida. I'm going to talk about South Florida specifically because of the fact that when you're talking about the highest end of beauty and attraction and the real end of where people want to strive because they're status seeking, there's posing down here like crazy. This is the real aspect of it, where it doesn't matter. Like the highest end of attraction is going to be here in a place like South Florida, where there's a lot of beautiful people at, but it can happen anywhere where you get together with someone that you feel like, well, because of their status, who they are. Oh, they're the football player, and that's a cheerleader, or, whatever it is. They're very popular in school, and I get to go out with the popular kids in school. But what if they have their own issues where they have things that they've gone through and they don't act very well? Or especially those relationships where they're high school sweethearts. And because of the high school sweetheart bit, a woman wants to be able to go ahead and say they want to be able to hold on to that high school sweetheart as much as they can so they can only have that one partner they're going to spend the rest of their life with. That happens many times. And sometimes those high school sweethearts, oh my goodness, can definitely become toxic. And so it's just a fact. So there's a story here from Jordan Dan, a licensed psychoanalyst, that talks about how too much hope can be an obstacle to healthy relationship. And what she's saying is that maybe things start off very good from the beginning, and that maybe things can go back to the way they were after a bad time, a falling out, a bad patch in a relationship. So she brings this up. And she says here, okay, you're living with someone, you feel like you know this person, you're dependent upon them, but you also continue to feel let down and dissatisfied. And you've done everything you could try to do to improve the relationship. You don't want to be alone. You hope that eventually they will stop being dismissive, self-involved, or controlling. At the beginning, this person was smart, attractive, charming, and you hope they will be the one, even though they don't respond to your communication for days at a time. But when they do, how many of these women do you realize, gives you endless amounts of affection and love, buys you things, really puts out the effort to really win you over and make you feel like you're the most special girl in the world. Once they have you, done. Settling in. Just like a marriage. You settle in, and then things don't go as well as it once was. So now, what if you've been with your partner for over a year, and you've had many intense arguments and painful moments? They've been harsh and unforgiving with you through conflicts. They're loving to you when the things are good. But you tell yourself those crueler moments were just one-time things. You hope things will be different going forward. Right. The pattern of behavior. And that there are certain things that are in that pattern of behavior where if a woman is not confident in the fact that she can get out of the relationship anytime she wants and needs to be able to go ahead and take the breakup, take the pain of the loss of that love, let the heart be broken as a result so that you can mend yourself and then make yourself emotionally available for the next guy so you can be healthy and ready for love again. But this is where one thing comes up where women especially are going to hang on to a relationship for too long. And the guys are not doing the right thing by holding on to a woman that they're not interested in or that they realize, okay, I put all this effort into this and I'm not getting what I want and I'm not happy or I'm not satisfied or I just want to keep doing more and more to get control and power and continue to manipulate her because I enjoy seeing her suffer. Well, that's not safe and not good for anybody to have. So, too much hope in relationship. Now, when it comes to interpersonal relationships, hope is often masquerading in the form of repeated attachment of patterns. For instance, you might have experienced narcissistic abuse as a child or an unavailable caretaker, so hoping someone will change and finally give us the love we want feels familiar and attractive. This actually happens to a lot of people-pleasing type of girls. And maybe there's a thing where if they didn't have a father in the relationship or the mother was very distant and they were both the parents were very much detached and kind of absent from the whole thing of being there for their daughter. Those kind of things really hurt right here. So now you hope someone will change and finally give you the love you want. It feels familiar and attractive. And the feeling of longing or deprivation also feels familiar. So we hope that if we're good enough, talented enough, thin enough, smart enough, and attractive enough, we will finally get the attention we're so craving with this person. But then that's the other thing too. If women also start settling and realize, that maybe they're enjoying all this extra effort from the guy and they might not be doing so much to reciprocate because it's like, well, the guy's not asking for it. So why am I going to do anything? And if you're not reciprocating back, you're not offering anything back in return to make that guy feel like he feels like there's an equal mutual, love and affection for each other. If he's not feeling that, then this guy's going to start turning. Can very much happen. Plus, if you settle and, some women or some guys, your body changes, right? Sometimes guys will take you out like nice dinners and things like that, or feed you up. And how many times have I heard about like relationships where a girlfriend gets a little bit heavier, gains a little bit of weight, comfortable, settles. She doesn't have to go in and work so hard to like keep herself in such a shape because she's trying to date and she needs to look her optimal best. Doesn't have to throw on so much makeup, can throw on hoodies, can throw on sweats or joggers and kind of just relax and settle with the guy she's with. But then you get intoxicated into the fantasy of who you hope this person might become. And then that's the movie of projection. You've left the ground of your reality, right? You're only looking at the person, not in the real sense. You're blinded by all the things that they've done to you, even though they've hurt you and they are hurting you and continue to hurt you. But then what happens is you keep hoping, this guy's still this great guy, and like if you are being asked about the guy, you feel like you need to go and talk about the best in him and all those other things, obviously. So if someone has been hurtful on multiple occasions and refuses to apologize or take accountability for their part in the conflict, that is the pattern. If someone has lied to you several times, so if the guy's cheated on you, that is the pattern. If you find yourself making excuses for their behavior or giving them a chance after chance and they keep doing the same thing, you are ignoring the pattern. And then what happens is when you become emotionally unavailable because of what happened to you here, you're afraid. And many women, I can see it on TikTok all the time. They comment. They're afraid of dating again. Like there was one girl I saw on TikTok talking about the fact that for 2 years she hadn't dated. She's afraid of dating again because she feels like the same thing's going to happen with the next guy. Falling into another trap, falling into another pattern because you are attracted to a certain pattern and you don't know a way to get yourself out of that because you have not allowed yourself to heal from what happened to you. There are questions you can ask about what's going on, but being aware of your hopeful feelings or fantasy, you're being your own protector. Hope does have a place in relationships when you see the evidence of someone trying to meet your needs or trying to make the relationship better. Those are the obvious, that's logical time. But fantasy has a place for creativity, daydreaming, or in the bedroom with someone you trust. It's important you do an inventory and reality test yourself to see if you're wanting a relationship so much that you don't see the reality of a person and telling yourself a story about who someone might become one day, a day that may never come. Plus, you think there's somebody that they're not. Like you put this whole idea in your head that this person is going to be this based on the very initial start of the relationship. And it doesn't stay that way. Something wrong there. And this is where women need to realize this so they don't get themselves caught into the pattern. Like they might get hurt and might get damaged from this, but you can actually limit the damage. You can actually pull yourself out of the situation. And sometimes the cues that some of your friends might tell you, this guy's no good for you. I know it's kind of hard to go ahead and accept that fact, but maybe they're right. What are you going to do? So anyway, get yourself out of these toxic relationships, women. Ladies, please. I want you to feel better about yourselves. I want you to feel like you can get yourself out of a bad relationship. You can heal yourself. You can accept the emotional wounds, the scars that you have been given as a result. Find a way to cope with all of them. If they were abusive to you, find a way to confront that abuse. Find a way to channel that abuse so that you can't be triggered by it. You can't cry, throw up, be upset, lose sleep, all these different factors. You can't let the guy continue to have an emotional hold on you. The best way to heal yourself is to remember that you need to accept yourself with all the things that happened to you and the woman that you have become. As for the guys, if you are going to have this kind of behavior, do not ruin women for the rest of the world. As I've said before, one of the reasons I do this program, and I've said this on an episode, it was a half-hour episode that I started doing on the program. I said one of the missions I have was, I want these women to have a chance to have real love. Because you know what happens? When those women are able to heal themselves, become emotionally available, then they can be loved, they can give love, and then guys like me and other guys out there will get the chance to be with good women. Because good women will finally find themselves out of the bad relationships and be available for the next guy that's going to treat them right. And I'm not here to be selfish. Like, I'm not expecting any girl to come from me